This is peak Overwatch.
Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, what you've all been waiting for.
And now it's go time.
Here we go.
Bloody hands, my eyes wide, I got one chance. No sleep till I'm enhanced. Fight hard to keep my stance. Knuckle up, time to buckle up. I got one shot and I won't stop. One goal for the joyride. I'm a champion. Move aside.
What? Oh, okay. Are you kidding me?
Taking over the game.
What am I watching? They might just be doing it.
He's a god. He's a god.
Yeah.
Oh!
Full force, I'm unleashed, so don't speak. Grandmaster, don't sleep. Victory, it tastes so sweet. Knuckle up, time to buckle up. I got one shot and I won't stop. One goal for the joyride. I'm a champion. Move aside. Let's go.
Welcome everyone to the first day here in the East region for the Summer Showdown presented by Xfinity Jaws. We're already halfway through the season and we're kicking things off first with the Hangzhou Spark versus the LA Valiant.
Oh, yes, we are. And it's the first series of the Summer Showdown. Hopefully, it's not a quick one, Vicky. I think a lot of people are going to expect this to go Spark's way, but you never know. The Valiant could have been hitting the gym a whole bunch, maybe getting a few tips off of Mitch. I don't know. They could have been in there getting the reps. But it's not looking good for them recently, but you never know. Spark, however, they've looked pretty stellar last tournament, but they ended up getting knocked out, Vicky, in the qualifiers. And it was NYXL that did them dirty, 3-1, and I'm sure they want to get some revenge this time around.
Yeah, that was the best look at Spark actually was in last month's tournament. If you guys have some faith, though, in the LA Valiant, don't forget to head over to your pick'ems before the match starts, before it locks you out, so you guys could get points for that really nice Lucio. But yeah, Jaws, with a new month around us and what we're going to expect from the East region, we have some changes going into the series. Between a new map pool and no hero pools, the pool has officially just been leaked out. There is no hero pools. We have every single hero on the table this month.
Yeah, it feels good. We're not kind of shoehorned into a meta, which is really nice. And there's a few patch changes as well. But we'll talk about that a little bit later, as we do have the power rankings with IBM Watson. You can see Guangzhou up in second place. This is for Winston entering this week. Behind Fearless, and of course Fearless was going to be top. Let's be real with ourselves here. Probably one of the best tank players in the world right now. Not even probably, is the best tank player in the world right now. Guangzhou coming in at a second place, though, was famous for his Winston. That will continue to be the case, especially with the hero pools being unlocked, like you said as well, Vicky. It's pretty exciting time for the Spark. They can run these like heavy-hitting dive comps that they love to play. Let's have a look at the starting lineup for the Spark as well. We do actually see Somin-Su come in for today. Architect, Guangzhou, Bana, MCD, and IDK. Somin-Su was played twice this year, Vicky, and both times he's actually lost. So maybe a little bit of a boost of morale here would be kind of nice for Somin-Su. He ended up losing against Philly and the Dragons. So taking a W here is going to be nice. He's not going to be on a negative or like just a winless record of this season. So that's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm actually glad that you highlighted Somin-Su because the fact that we've only seen him twice and unfortunately he lost, we didn't see him at all in the June Joust if I recall correctly. So now that he's into this starting lineup, I'm wondering if the Hangzhou Spark have been hitting the gym themselves. You were talking about the LA Valiant. Well, you know, now bringing Somin-Su in, of course, we are going to have our first map in control point. So maybe seeing that May or Sim come out. Taking a look at the LA Valiant right now between Crystal, Molinron, Silver 3, Shou Cheng, Hybe, and Wuya. This is a team that we won't have any swaps here as this is the full main roster, but Valiant aren't looking so hot this season, Jaws.
Yeah, they're really not. A lot of people didn't expect them to do very well, and they've kind of lived up to that expectation. Will they end up taking a series by the end of the year? It's still kind of up for debate. Kind of sucks too, like the players thrown into this situation and not finding too much success. I'm hoping they can maybe find a couple of maps this tournament. Also play 4, of course, without the hero pools. Crystal and Molinron have always been the standout players for the Valiant this season. Of course, Crystal played in the league before. Molinron has been just an absolute showcase of a DPS, but with the rest of the team, it's just not really been there. They've just been kind of crushed, honestly. I mean, the Spark, it was really cool to see them make a really nice run last tournament, Vicky. They only lost 2 maps in the lead up to the qualifiers, which was just a fantastic showing from the Spark. But you looked at the kind of teams that they actually found the wins against. It was teams like Philadelphia Fusion, who were on a bit of a losing streak, on a bit of a kind of a downward turn at the start of that start of the June joust, but they ended up picking it up. But the Spark, you know, saw blood in the water and they pounced on it. Can they do the same sort of thing here? Grab some early wins and then roll on to the qualifiers later down the line?
I feel like the Spark, as time has passed, they've looked a lot more solid. They've been figuring things out for their roster. The first map is going to be on Lijian, so it explains the look that we're going to see from the Spark. And then looking at the other side of the coin, Jaws, you look at the Valiant, and yeah, other than Crystal and Molan Ron, the rest of the team, they look like they're struggling. I don't think they've won. No, they actually have not won a single series this entire season and have only won on 2 maps, which was Numbani and map 3 for the Fusion series and the map versus the Hunters earlier on in the May Melee. But let's get started here. Already coming out of the gates, we see Crystal on the Sombra, Molan Ron on the Pharah. Gonna play this up close. Maybe see a swap here as Sumin Su manages to get off of the Symmetra onto the Sombra.
Yeah, complete swap up of the DPS here, and Bernard changing over to the D.Va 2 to deal with Molan Ron in the skies. Okay, it's actually a swap of the Valiant, and Crystal dies in the front line. And because the Spark ended up retreating first, the Valiant then kind of reacting to what the Spark were then picking, the Spark managed to get to the point first and managed to cap. So now the Valiant are finding this upwards hill battle. Crystal going down is not going to be nice. Ideally, he's just going to be peppering away in the backline. He has to be quite careful, though, Vicky, because if Architect lands a hack, manages to find the enemy Summer Translocator, or Somin Su just clicks him a couple of times, or even goes in for the flashbang, he could be in trouble.
Yeah, Crystal would have to look out for that, especially since Crystal died first. You have to watch out for that EMP charge. Silver 3 just trying to find an opening. This is the player who died a lot in those initial engagements last month too. LA Valiant, they're still trying to get their footing, but it's Bernard who finds Silver 3. Now losing both your tanks. Okay, the Spark, they're looking pretty confident right now, Jaws. And this is one way to start the series.
Okay, I don't know how that was a boot from Bernard, I'm going to be real. That looked like way too far a range to actually get him off to the edge there, but he gets some free ult charge, I guess. MCD used the window. LA Valiant already had 1 person dead and Silver 3, so they had very little hope of actually winning that fight. Subs Crystal's EMP, that's going to be it. That is the win condition right now for the Valiant. EMP. Maybe they can get through. Silver 3 is going to have a tough time getting through this choke point. Reinhardt, of course, being a much more hardy tank in the face of danger, as he can just kind of hold the square and just wait for the rest of the, or rectangle, I guess, wait for the rest of the team to kind of run at him. Gushwei does end up going down, though, and Silver 3 finds IDK as well.
They're finding these picks here, Jaws. I mean, I was a little worried because the fact that Crystal died twice, that EMP was going to come on slow, but it's thanks to Wooya here that with that nano boost, they were able to start off that engagement. They were able to clean up around the Spark, and now they've been able to take control over the point, but look at this disadvantage that they're at. Only 5%. Meanwhile, the Spark already at 83.
Yeah, Architect go very quickly here. Sominsu changing over to the Reaper now. Just run and gun, run into Silver 3. Silver 3 is going to have to be way more passive at this point. Wow, Crystal's Translocator gets spotted out. He's going to have to be a little bit more safe, Architect. Knowing that's the case, Crystal, like, he's trying to go for something here, but as soon as he reveals himself in this kind of situation, Architect's just going to press the go button on the front line.
At least trying to isolate MCD, prevent the Immortality field from coming out. You're also going to have that Ant Matrix coming on soon. And they're going to try to get up to the point. The EMP only finding Silver 3 and Shocheng that's huge because now the grab won't be used. And Rally, after High Bay utilized it, wouldn't be able to do much else. Consider the fact that Silver 3's gone and Bernard eating the grab. Alright, the Sparks, although they've lost Gushwei and MCD, this Soundmere is going to keep them in the fight, and no longer, though, the EMP now coming in from Crystal. Jaws, what an answer back to that. They were trying to hold on to this point for as long as possible, but they pushed it into overtime, so successfully IDK was able to utilize the Soundmere just to stall a little bit before that EMP shut it down.
I'm glad I sung his praises earlier on, but Molan Ron landed a beautiful sticky on MCD to start off that fight as well, forcing IDK to use the beat to try and keep them in the fight. 99% for the Spark now, as the Valiant do manage to find the flip. against the race for EMPs. Architects 25% ahead of Crystal. Shocheng has the Graviton Surge coming online rather soon as well. Doesn't want to get that eaten again, however. Yeah, he's building them up pretty quickly, but if Bernard denies them time and time again, he's going to be in a bit of hot water. IDK changing over to the Brig as well, so really making sure his backline is protected.
And trying to stop Molenron on that Tracer, especially after that sticky, trying to adjust here. Despite being at 99, you certainly have the Valiant that is closely right behind you here. The Death Blossom from Summer Showdown is online too. They're just trying to find an opening here, Jaws. And it definitely trickles down to this grab and how Molenron tries to follow up with that Pulse Bomb. They have to do something about MCD's Immortality Field as the Death Blossom gets grabbed, but the Immortality Field keeps them alive. But the anti coming in from Wuya, you have the Valiant utilizing everything minus this rally that they're gonna need. And right now, the Valiant, they're looking different. They have that different energy. Obviously, they did go to the gym here, Jaws, because they take the first round, starting off pretty strong against a team like Spark, who came out swinging in the June Joust.
Yeah, that was crazy. Spark went on this massive rotation to try and help Sominsu assassinate one of the supports. But you mentioned it, the Grav hit 3 of them in the front line. Yes, the ult from the Reaper was going off. He was spinning like a Beyblade in the grab, but it was all on Hybe right at the very end, throwing that anti-nade in straight on top. No one could do anything about it because Bernard, he's not a Zarya. He can't bubble the anti away. He didn't even eat the nade, so they were just sat waiting to die, basically. Valiant taking the first stage of Li Zhengtao. What a nice look to start us off here.
Honestly, thinking there, if they just felt confident enough to just sit underneath the Immortality Field, and unfortunately, that just didn't go according to plan here. If you're the Spark and wasting no time, the Spark are already trying to take this fight over to that side room here, Jaws, and Hybe getting that Discord. You're going to mix that up as MCD needs to hang out, but Gushue is taking so much damage. They stun him. He has to get out. He tries to go for the health back, but Silver 3 gets the boot onto Architect and Bernard making it 3 on MCD. Whoa, how? He's literally spinning. You talk about spinning a win. I mean, Silver 3 with these environmental kills, making sure that these boops coming in from the LA Valiant, a different look completely from this team.
Woo! Silver 3 built differently? Oh my goodness, gets 2 off the map and then just swings through MCD to find the kill. That's how you want to start this off. A little bit of momentum now for the Valiant, taking the first stage. Maybe a second if they keep this one up. Silver 3 is going to have the mines online. It's going to be so difficult for the Spark to actually assault to this point. I mean, Silver 3 can even roll on into White Room, lay the mines down. IDK and MCD are going to have a tough time actually clearing those. Crystal trying to set up something in the backline too. There's Silver 3, blocks off one of the entrances.
Oh, Molenron now won't be in this fight. Bernard finds Molenron, and those mines is going to be difficult to try to rotate onto this point. They're trying to get rid of them. They do successfully. MCD's back into this mix, and he's going to have the Transcendence online for this next engagement from the LA Valiant. Love the way right now that we're seeing the LA Valiant play, but the way that Spark are now readjusting is exactly what they need. They know the Valiant want to get a 3rd map under their belt here, Jaws, but they need to try to go through this barrier that the Spark have provided here, now being able to reclaim this point.
Good lord, I mean, yeah, you have to play a little bit careful there if you're Silver 3. You are still against the Zenyatta after all. A nice little roll through to try and kill IDK. The mines are out, so ideally you want to push one of the supports into them. It didn't quite happen. Now with Spark are a massive advantage here, Vicky. They've got EMP and the mines. They can even just stop Shocheng even getting in. The rally is going to start off the fight. Hybe runs in, but Crystal's already dead.
And Wuya is the one that utilizes the Transcendence first, wants to avoid Sumunsu's EMP. They do find Crystal again here, and after Crystal goes down, this grab now goes unlocked, and the EMP
Massive
to shut them down. Huge finding 4. Molenron's out after utilizing that duplicate, but because Wuya and Hybe got caught in that, they try to reverse that situation, and they did so beautifully here, Jaws, with that EMP negating that grab. Now LA Valiant, they don't have anything to work with here.
Man, Crystal going down so early is not a good start. Hybe, just the backline of the Valiant there, it almost seemed like they panicked a little bit, Vicky. The EMP wasn't even used, and we saw a Transcendence from the LA Valiant just diving in on the front line to try and save their tanks. That Graviton Surge was well placed, but the EMP from Sominsu was perfect. 73%, we're approaching final fight here for the Spark, and they've got the rally online too. This fight is going to be very tough for Valiant, unless Crystal can land a key pulse bomb. He lands one, it tags Architect, now it's a 5v6.
Oh, and you have to worry about all that damage coming out in close quarters. Gushue has that Discord on them, but with this rally, you're going to have enough of that armor pack to at least try to engulf the rest of the Valley, or rather the Spark. They find 2 here between Wuya and Crystal. Those are 2 big picks to try to contest and stay on this point, because the Valiant, they're still in control here. Spark are going to be able to flip this in their favor, and they're going to need the Valley to try to contest, because it's going to be going on over to overtime.
5% Vicky, someone's going to need to touch, like you said. Silver 3's only just spawned. It's going to be up to Shocheng here to juggle. Maybe they can get this rally off and make good use of this armor, but Sominsu's waiting with this EMP.
Olaran was the one that kept hit on the point, but EMP finding Hybe and Shocheng and Crystal. That's 3. Luckily, Hybe was actually able to pull the trigger on the rally right before they were able to get hit with that EMP. Now the Transcendence is going to keep everybody from the Spark alive, and the Valiant, they have to do something quick because they're losing heads and they're losing them fast. Jaws, Silver 3 and Crystal, they're back at the spawn.
Yeah, Crystal is getting absolutely domed right now by MCD. True Zenyatta diff. Malaran is going to transform into the Reaper to try and keep his team in this. Crystal's going to come back with the Pulse Bomb, but it's looking all for naught right now. Malaran can get nothing done with this Reaper copy.
The fact that Sumonsu has been on point with these hacks is what's also helping out the Spark. Architect closing things out with that Death Blossom. Although Crystal gets that Pulse Bomb, it's not going to be enough for the Valiant to make a difference. It's a tied 1-1 in this first map.
Yeah, Crystal is having the roughest time right now against MCD and IDK. He wants to just try and assassinate him, but even just in the neutral, yeah, you've got a Brig around you, so you can play a little bit more aggressive, but it feels like even the neutral, Crystal's getting taken down by MCD more often than not. I believe this replay is probably going to be a Silver 3. How did he get these knockoffs? Oh, everybody was at the back.
And look at MCD, look where he's positioned. He's by the health pack, and then he just comes swinging right back in and pushes off MCD. That was actually so fresh.
Yeah, he didn't even push him off. That was the thing. MCD was actually so low in that situation. Just the roll through just turned him into roadkill. All right, third stage now of Li Sheng Towers. Everybody TP's out. Not going to be a TP onto the point. As we are seeing Gushue and Silver 3 just roll out with the Wrecking Ball. Sominsu versus Malaran is going to be fairly interesting. Sominsu doesn't have the backup of the Mercy. Hybe, of course, pocketing Malaran from the skies. Sominsu ends up going down. It feels like MCD or IDK here need to switch to the Mercy to kind of counteract Malaran in the skies. With Hero Pools being open too, you can play these long-range hit scans, so maybe Architect or Sominsu could change over to one of those if they don't want to run the Mercy. We are jumping into a quick pause though, unfortunately, but we should be getting into the game momentarily. Hopefully it's nothing crazy.
Yeah, just getting set up, everyone, while we wait for the match to continue. But yeah, Jaws, actually, going after your point here, I feel like that Mercy difference is definitely going to trickle into Sumonsu actually getting a lot of impact on that Echo. Considering the fact that he's the first one to go down, you have to keep your eye out on the fact that Lijiang Tower has a lot of those open areas on Night Market where you could actually infiltrate the point from those windows. But when you're Sumonsu taking a lot of that damage, when you have that Mercy boosting you up, it's going to be so difficult to actually have that big impact, especially when you want to have that duplicate online.
Yeah, it's also a little bit more difficult for the supports of the Spark too. You got to think Zen and Brig. Supports can't normally deal with a fire in the sky. Arna's got a little bit of long-range capability there, just picking out the Mercy or picking out the fire to try and make them play a little bit more safe. But you are so vulnerable as the Zen and the Brig. The Brig shield's not going to hold for long. It's not like old Brig shield at 500 HP. It's only 250 now, so to be a little bit more passive. So you jump back into the game. Valiant do end up capping the point first off of that just single kill onto Sominsu. Doesn't like any of the Spark actually want to change right now. They're just happy with Sominsu getting perma-orbed here from MCD to try and deal with Malaran. But as long as Malaran's alive and well, high in the sky, the Spark do have to be very cognizant of where MCD and IDK are to try and peel for them. It's like we're jumping, unfortunately, into another pause again. Maybe the issue wasn't solved, but yeah, like I said, hopefully we'll get back in. No worries, Vicky. Should be fine.
Yeah, just looking, I'm actually just able to look at what the Spark are trying to go for here. With MCD still on the Zen, they want to resort to that Discord Orb as their high priority, so that way Sumonsu, he has a sustainability in the air with either the Armor Pack or with the Healing Orb. Then you consider the Discord Orb and how much impact that's going to have if they do manage to narrow down that focus onto Hybe.
Yeah, more often than not, though, you want to put it on the Wrecking Ball, just so Silver 3 has a bit more of a difficult time actually executing anything. Because as soon as the Discord Orb's on a tank, normally you want to kind of LOS around a corner to make sure the Discord Orb detaches, and then roll on from there, quite literally. And there was a time in Overwatch history when the Discord Orb was permanent, which is quite funny to think about now. You think about, like, version, I don't know, 1.0 of Overwatch and all the ridiculous things you have in the game then compared to what we have now, of course. Yeah, there was a lot of silly things in the game, or you could even say silly things now, to be fair, as well, but it's so funny comparing the two versions of the game from here and then. All right, we're back into the game, Vicky. Hopefully that was the last time we go for the pause. The Spark are making a very aggressive push onto the point. Architect gets slept and one-shot too by Milan Rom. They do trade him for Crystal, however.
Oh, that was absolutely dominating right there. Architect, he's gone, and because Hy-Vee is on that Mercy, they're going to be able to get Crystal right back into the action. They traded that though for Silver 3, not going to be here. Shocheng almost trying to get it to run over. Huge way getting that pick onto Shocheng. It literally just looked like a trailer just running him over there. But anyways, as they try to get set up here, you want to take a look at that EMP for Crystal. They want to be able to get that follow-up so that way Molenron could have that rocket barrage.
Yeah, ideally you just jump into the back line, take out MCD's shields, and then instantly kill him with the help of Silver 3, or even just your own, to be just yourself, to be fair. Is he going to go for a manual hack? Oh, no! He's fallen off the map! Oh, my God!
Oh, that was perfect! Oh, that small time, too, that Crystal looked at Sumitsu and just completely hacked them out of the skies. Meanwhile, Molenron with the rocket barrage, then taking care of Architect again. It's like Crystal and Architect have just swapped places after we saw Crystal get booted off of that second round. Now it's just Architect's turn here. Molenron was living for so long, but they finally deal with him. And currently, LA Valiant, now they have control. Look at Shocheng hiding behind the Diva mech. I love it. Bernard now comes in, trying to get that charge already at 95. And with the grab, it's going to be a wrap. Goodbye, Valiant. And hello, Spark, as they flip the point in their favor.
That was a really nice flip there from the Valiant, but I've got a question. Shocheng to use the self-destruct, knowing that there's a lot of corners and walls Bernard can get behind, and then Bernard just peeks his head back around. I'm fully charged, by the way. I can basically one-shot you in when you're in Pilot Diva form. That was a bit of an interesting use of the ultimate there, and the Spark ended up just flipping it right back. Now we're on fight-to-fight territory, Vicky. As Crystal does have the EMP, yes, but Silver 3 is already dead. He is off the map. Not sure where that happened, but that's bad.
Oh, he got an invitation to a different party. It just wasn't here on Legion, apparently. Anyway, Silver is going to be coming out of the spawn, just going to be able to roll back in because they got to touch the point. The rally now from IDK is going to give this armor over to the team, but the EMP coming in, finding 4. Pretty big if the Valiant could capitalize off of that, and they find Sumitsu out of the bat. Now it's overtime. They have to try to stay on the point. The minefield stops the Spark's rotation here. Between Sumitsu and Architect dying, that duplicate won't be here. Neither will the Pulse Bomb. MCD's already used up the Transcendence, and the Valiant are still finding these picks.
Yeah, I mean, this is more than okay for the Spark, though. 99%, of course, now flipping over to the Valiant's control, but they managed to burn a lot of key ultimates. Not only the Nano Boost, but Crystal's EMP, Milanron's a Pulse Bomb too, and they can come back with a Pulse Bomb of their own, even a duplicate as well. This is looking pretty winnable right now for the Spark. A single pick will do it, really. And you can see where the Valiant are playing too. Very, very far off the point. They want to bait people in, so Crystal will try and find this, this flank. But you can see Sumitsu and the rest of the gang are just running down the Valiant right now.
Talk about pressure here, especially in that side room. Valiant, they had a plan, but it didn't go according to plan. Yeah, Architect now winning that Tracer trade between Molenron, and now as they make their way over to the point, they get to flip the tides, and overtime is now ticking away in favor for the Spark. You see Silver 3 taking so much damage from that Discord Orb. The follow of the rally isn't going to be enough, and the Nano Boost wasn't there to help that sustainability. Meanwhile, Architect gets that Pulse Bomb onto Hy-Vee, and it's just wrapped right now, Jaws. The Spark, they take this first map after they're done cleaning up the Valiant.
Wow, that was an interesting way to hold that point, that is for sure. Completely near your spawn. The Valiant were holding like a 4 and a 2 formation. The Spark just ran at them, basically, and then just ran to the point. That was an odd use of your time and your capture time there from the Valiant. The Spark, you know, they may have lost that first stage on control, but it don't matter in the end. They still take the map away from the Valiant. Still all to play for, but wow, did Sominsu look good? My word. Unfortunately, he comes in for his 3rd game this season and gets hacked and falls off the map. But, you know, that's going to be a highlight for Crystal at least.
Oh, that was so unfortunate, too. The 3rd time we see him, too, Jaws. I mean, overall, though, the Spark, they still win the 1st map. The Valiant, they couldn't get the 3rd map in their pocket for the entire season. Unfortunate for them, but now, fortunately, with the Spark up in this series, it's 1-0, and it's 1-3 for them to move on.
Oh, yes, it is. We're going to jump to a quick break, guys. Don't go anywhere. We've got map number 2 coming up soon.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Shredded out of the mech, gets finished off by the remake from Shocheng. Nicely done. Follow up, they get the cleanup coming through as both DPS members on the side of the Hangzhou Spark have fallen. Gushoi's death, that will be the flip coming in. Wraith walk back, trying to stay safe. Now is going to be keeping in with the sleep guard, cuts him off. MCD's been absolutely huge. Gushway taking a nap, but Hangzhou Spark, they still have the man advantage. Now the bomb into the back, not going to be able to find anything but Shine. Does break the dupe there for Milan Run. That's going to be a very good grab. It's going to be a defensive blossom from Architect to try to stave them off, but the Bionate is there from Wuya.
Valley of the rally, and Hangzhou will win that one. Here we go, Milan receives a nano.
Oh my God.
Slept and killed instantly.
Yes, slept him, I believe, out of the air. The Shy was there for the alley-oop, manages the beam kill. Hybe gets into the position, does manage to find the res, but MCD strikes him down.
here for the night. The Spark are now currently up in the game versus the Valiant Jaws. We have some changes, though, going into map number 2. Looking at the Spark, Sumunsu is staying in, but we're going to have Shy hang out right next to him with Architect sitting down.
Yeah, Architect's sitting on the bench now. We're not seeing Godsby any longer either, by the way. If anybody didn't see the news, the Spark of Godsby has departed from the Spark, currently up for free agency. A legendary Korean player playing all the way back in Apex for X6, and yeah, it's kind of sad to see him go. I hope a team eventually ends up picking him up. The roster, though, for the Spark is absolutely massive. You look at it, and you could look at the players too, and a lot of them can play other roles as well. You think of Architect famously kind of playing a lot, like his flexibility knows no bounds. He's almost like a Rascal in a way. Of course, Rascal played things like support as well. There's no way Architect can't jump on those roles as well as the Flex God. And they do have a very, not only deep hero pool, but like a wide selection of different kind of comps they can run too. And it's exciting to see Shy back in also. Shy has just been such a wonder this season for the Spark. His long-range hit scan is just unreal. Like one of the best hit scans in the league, no doubt. I mean, he's got a little bit more competition now, however, with Arns coming back onto the Shock. But still, Shy coming in is going to be great for them. We're going over to Eichenwalde next as well, so I can imagine maybe a little bit of Kree action here for Shy, but we'll have to wait and see as we jump into the map momentarily.
Yeah, actually looking at Shy and how Shy's been doing so far, in the Junedao specifically, I feel like Shy was that anchor for the Spark. I feel like that's when Spark started feeling a lot more confident. They started building that foundation for that synergy that they seem to have lacked in the main melee. Unfortunately, with Godsby, bowing out from the Spark. Yeah, free agent, by the way, super talented player. I remember watching him actually at the Kit Kat tournament in LA a while ago. But and you know what's unfortunate though, seeing Godsby meet back together with Architect on the same roster, and then now they're not together anymore. So sadness, my ship has sailed. But anyways, with the Spark now up in the series, Jaws, you take a look at the Valiant. They're putting up a pretty good fight in comparison to what we're usually seeing from the Valiant in the previous other series.
Yeah, so there's a couple of little bright sparks there. We saw Silver 3 with that nice two-man boop end up turning into a triple kill as he rolled over MTD as well on Gardens, or Night Garden. But it's, yeah, there's still a little couple of oopsie daisies. At least Crystal got a nice highlight play of him hacking Sominsu out the air as he plummets to his death, which is kind of nice. But he's had trouble against MCD this series too, right? His Tracer versus MCD Zen, a tale as old as time. MCD's just coming out on top time and time again. We even saw Silver 3 accidentally taking a dunk as well off the side of the map on the Wrecking Ball too, so there are signs of life, yes, for the Valiant, but the Spark's flexibility, which I made note of earlier, it almost knows no bounds. So whatever the Valiant can kind of throw at the Spark are definitely going to have answers. We are on the defense as well for the Spark too, so this could be a very quick game actually if they do manage to hold them first. I like MCD and IDK running this support line too. It's just invincible, it seems. Like MCD being able to take care of Tracers on his own, and then IDK is there just in case to kind of back him up is good to see. We're seeing Shy on the Ash, so no surprise there at all. A little bit of a two-front attack for the Spark here, or attack and defend maybe. Sominsu and Gushui wanting to dive in on discorded targets, and then we have Bernard protecting Shy, MCD and IDK on the Sigma. The only really worry here is Milan just getting an assassination with Silver 3 jumping in onto the back line.
Especially since Milan already trying to get that back angle. MCD has been such a threat at dealing with both Crystal and Milan. You talk about the Tracer and how MCD's dealt with that. Well, also the Sombra too, and Crystal was trying to isolate MCD.
Ooh, nice little headshot there. Okay, Crystal warming up a little bit. Nice, nice, nice. Forces them back. Getting through this choke point is going to be pretty tough though. They're waiting for kind of Gushui to jump in and maybe going for the start. They see him now, but Silver 3 and Shocheng have already made their way in. The longer you stay in these fights, Vicky, the more painful it's going to be because MCD applies the Discord. There's not a crazy amount of cover you can take without pushing straight on into the Spark and taking some of that space. They either have to push in or completely back out to remove that Discord. And if you're in that fight for too long, MCD, Shy, and Sominsu, they're clicking heads.
Yeah, especially since someone's going to be able to dive and follow up from those Discord orbs. You can see Valiant now recuperating, now getting in with the dive. The nano boost from Ulia is going to be able to allow Silver 3 to hold the front lines, create that space. The anti, though, is going to take Gushue out of this fight. He took too much damage already, which means the minefields that he wants to build up won't be in this fight, won't stop the Valiant from rotating in. The Bob now is going to come on the point, adding in that 7th member, now 6th member for Shy. Sumansu goes down and Gushue makes his way back for the rest of the team. Crystal finding that head is a big deal because now Crystal's going to try to get on the flank, and he has a Deadeye.
They're in such a bad position though, Vicky. They're on the wrong side of the map right now, and they're just getting punished for it. Nice little flux there from Bernard, and they're just going to run them down. The Valiant there kind of overextended past all meanings of time, space, and barriers. I mean, like, you shouldn't be there ideally, right? I mean, the Spark can be able to reposition so quickly, and you don't want to fight in those corridors either. MCD firing through a choke, Shy chucking a dynamite at you, Bernard as well, hitting those hyperspheres. There's not really much you can do. You want to take the fights out in the open so Milan Run and Crystal can have a good time at trying picking someone off from the sides. We're now at 1 minute and 40 seconds. Half the time bank is gone, and more so as they do make their next engagement. It's going to be an extra nano boost for the Valiant. They're going to send Silver 3 in with the extra armor too, hoping he doesn't detonate.
Yeah, just waiting. The Silver 3 now is going to have that.
Is he going to get booped?
Yeah.
Nope.
He gets stunned instead, though. He's still trying to hold the front line, but they have to deal with the Transcendence. The anti only landing on IDK. The Rally 2 is going to give that extra armor to the rest of the Spark. Currently have the Valiant trying to utilize everything now that Molaron has utilized the duplicate, copying the Brigida. Silver 3 though finding these picks. This is the opportunity for the Valiant to make their way over to the point, finally get this payload moving, surrounding the Spark. I like how they're doing this because with such limited time, they didn't freak out. They were able to rotate through those ultimates perfectly, their jaws, and now they're going to be able to get this payload moving with less than a minute on the clock. Silver 3 finally popping off.
Yeah, Silver 3 was really lucky there. He escaped with his life plus a Primal Rage. That anti-grenade from the Valiant too, perfectly placed. Forced MCD actually used the Transcendence to try and get out of there ASAP, and then after that, the Valiant can just dive on in on the Zen. There's not really much you can save you there, not when Milan Ran and Crystal are also just chunking you from afar. Second point now for the Spark. They can hold the high ground. The Bob's going to start off the fight. Silver 3, not long for this world. He got rocked and rolled on top of, and Bob was shooting him as well. So, yeah, goodbye. Straight back to spawn. Valiant going to have to go again. They're probably just going to do the same thing, Vicky, over and over, which is use the nano boost on Silver 3. Shocheng follows up, and then Milan Ran 2. That's going to be the name of the game with this comp, but it's all the defensive countermeasures from the Spark. They have to kind of weave their way around. They are inting currently, to put it lightly. They should probably just regroup in spawn. That would be probably the best course of action. The Valiant are now going to forcibly do that because they all ended up dying there.
And look at the old economy now that the Spark have because of that. Look how far up they're pushed to, considering the fact that not only do they have that confidence, but they're going to be able to control so much space now that the Valiant have that limited time. They have 2 minutes now to try to get that payload to point B. Rhea has that nano boost to start up the engagement, but the fact that they're forced to use it here, when the Spark could just regroup later for the next fight, try to get on the high ground, is going to be crucial. See what Silver 3 could do with this Primal now, as Silver 3 wants to build into that next time, has that nano boost to help create that space. You already see the Spark, they're backing off, they're not wasting any time, and Gushwe's in their backline, and he's gonna get the minefield for this next fight. Silver 3 is just trying to find an angle here, but it's so difficult with the way that the Spark are playing so spread out.
Yeah, the Valiant are playing pretty spread too. I mean, the rally from Hybe is going to be good to try and save the Ana, but they've actually ended up swapping places again. This is actually pretty good for the Valiant now. I thought they may have out-rotated themselves once more. Gushue comes in with the mines. That's a lot of damage, and he's isolated one of the supports.
And they've isolated the fact that they needed to get that payload moving beyond those minefields. Now, with the Valiant on the other side from where the Spark usually is going to hang out on when they're on the defense, they're getting sandwiched, and the supports are gone from the Valiant. No sustainability left. And Silver 3 will be able to have the Primal for this next fight, build into that next nano boost, because they're going to need it with less than a minute on the clock here.
Oh yeah, they're going to need it desperately. They've at least got the Primal Rage as well, Vicky, to make sure Silver 3 can stay alive in these fights and try and kill MCD. But it's going to be so hard to do that. As soon as that Nano Winston dives in, Bernard can just hit the Q. He can just hit the Flux, send everybody up to the sky, or more importantly, Silver 3, and he's going to instantly go down. A very aggressive engage though from the Spark as they run to their spawn.
No, they're not. They're doing exactly what we have seen from them again. And now Bernard has a gravitic flux. Where are you going to go? The supports are stuck with a pulse pump. Wuya goes down, and they're not going to have time to recuperate from this. They use so much there, whereas the Spark, they still have the Transcendence. What can you do if you're the Valiant in this situation?
Zero right now. I mean, you're really hoping that Hybe actually comes online with this rally. I mean, Guangzhou can hold the payload pretty easily by himself using the mines. They've got Transcendence as well at their backs, and already Milanron's getting distracted by Sominsu, so he's completely out of the fight here, Vicky.
So Arthur at least pushes the payload onto overtime, but they need to stay on that payload. MCD finding Shocheng, and the minefields isn't going to let the Valiant even get onto the point. Dominating performance from the Spark on this defense. Now the Valiant have to prevent the Spark from even getting this payload to move.
Yeah, the Zenyatta at the end there as well. MCD gets so strong, and Zenyatta himself gets very strong in these OT situations, Vicky, when people need to bundle themselves on the payload. At the very end of the fight there, you saw Shocheng on the Zarya try and get to the point and try and touch. He was forced to use the bubble, he got instantly discorded, and everybody burst him down. That's just going to happen when people trickle onto that point. I mean, look at how aggressive the Spark are playing. Like, Shy is in a melee distance of the Valiant more often than not. Like, unbelievable signs of aggression from the Spark. It's kind of ridiculous. And the Valiant are now going to have a very tough time in actually stopping this push of the Spark. If the Spark manage to cap the first point, depending on how the fight ends up turning out, the Valiant might not even get a second fight. Or if they do, it will be a staggered one. If it's a complete team wipe from the Spark, it's going to be pretty easy for the Valiant to get that second fight, because they're all going to spawn at the same time, they're going to run through the castle and be able to touch. If it's any sort of staggered fight whatsoever, where someone's left out till last, and they're still kind of fighting and dicing with death, you're going to fight a 5v6 at the gates, and it's not going to be a good time.
Basically, what we don't want to see is what we had seen the Valiant do while they were trickling in and the Spark are pushing into their spawn. That just was not it. That wasted so much time. Now it's the Spark swapping sides. They're on the attack. They're running the same type of composition. Bernard on that Zarya now. Guangzhou still on the ball, creating chaos in those back lines. The Valiant, they're just trying to play a lot more close together after learning from that experience. But Guangzhou's already on their back line. He's already rolling in. You can put on a lot of pressure. And Suminsu with the follow-up. I love it. Great opening, because now the Valiant, they're sandwiched. And they deal with Guangzhou and Suminsu. That's on their back line, still harassing them.
Yeah, I mean, Bernard was just a sacrifice there to make sure the rest of the Spark could succeed. It looks like the Valiant saw their opening, but it was way too late. As Guangzhou and Sominsu just tag team duoed like, you know, a tank and a DPS. Like, you just kind of jump in there. Probably one of the better people to do it, right? Because Guangzhou rolls in, slams, and then Sominsu's already behind them. They do end up finding the cap. There's no way Silver 3 could get in. Good luck now trying to defend as Hybe is also down. Like I mentioned before, Vicky, if this is a staggered fight to try and fight on this first point, you're not looking for a solid defense here and you're looking for more of a staggered one. It's going to be rather tough. Shy is going to have the Bob online. They use the Nano Boost on Crystal to try and force the issue, to try and make sure they can fight at 6, but the Bob's going to get sent out in response.
And now the Bob is going to force out the Valiant to move back, and without Wuya, they only have Hybe there to help keep them up. It's not going to be enough healing. Molon goes down too, and currently the Spark have a clear path to push this payload. Look at the amount of pressure, the aggression turned up from the Spark. They boops over 3 out. He can't even touch the point. Dominating win now for map number 2 for the Spark as they've led the series.
Yeah, that was an incredibly quick W there from the Spark. 2-0 in the series, Vicky. People were expecting it to go this way, but you know, maybe the Valiant can find a third map. I'm always kind of hopeful. People do love a good underdog story, but right now it's looking rather unlikely. We're going to jump to a quick break. We won't go anywhere. I'm sure you won't either. We'll be back in just a moment.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by State Farm. for auto, home, or renters insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. So much flavor, it's a mind crunch. TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League. And by NetApp, the official data management partner of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everyone. We're moving on to a map number 3 with the Hangzhou Spark currently leading the series in a very aggressive way, Jaws 2-0.
Yeah, 2-0, looking like a 3-0, unless Valiant can pull something out of the bag here. But let's talk about the Spark, okay? Let's not be a Debbie Downer on this whole series about the Valiant. Let's look at the Spark and how well they're doing right now. Because we're seeing Shy coming back in. We're seeing a little bit of Sominsu as well. That's looking great. Their aggression as well is just unparalleled. I mean, this is definitely a different Spark than we saw at the start of the season, Vicky. And they've been looking up and up every tournament thus far. Maybe they had a little bit of an easier run last tournament, getting almost to the qualifiers, or sorry, almost to the June Joust itself, getting beaten out by the NYXL. But they're still looking a lot better than they did at the start of the season. Maybe a bit of a slow burner, a big roster that you kind of have to all integrate with each other. But now seeming like at the time the Spark are going to come alive.
I also really like the way that they're rotating through their roster with Sumin coming in after we didn't see him at all in the June Joust. They're showing how strong putting together these DPS pairings are for the Spark, and it's really reaping a lot of success for this team. I feel like we've seen this team just go through their own character development from the first month and now moving on to half the season currently, Jaws. The Spark are looking really good.
Yeah, they are. They're looking fantastic. There's still a few little plays here and there from the Valiant, which do maybe spark some joy within myself. We're seeing Silver 3 doing well. Milanran's not doing half bad either. Crystal's having a little bit of a lackluster game, struggling a little bit against MCD and IDK, the stalwart backline of the Spark. But we are going on to Route 66 as our next map. Vicky, doesn't look like there's any going to be substitutions either as well. So we're seeing Sominsu and Shy stay in. Feels like I haven't seen Route 66 in a hot minute, Vicky, honestly. Like, that map, I feel like, has been out of the rotation for years. There's certain maps where I just kind of forget they exist almost in the Overwatch League sphere, not in, like, kind of my ranked games, but in the Overwatch League sphere, I'm like, oh, yeah, there's that map I haven't seen in a while or casted in a while. It's a bit odd. It's just the way it turns out sometimes. Sometimes you just don't cast certain maps for a long time, and it feels like Route 66. I've not done it since 2020.
Yeah, actually, I think the last time I have casted Route 66 was in Contenders. So, yeah, last year. So, overall, it's been a really long time since I've watched this map and been able to cast over it. So, as we get started, though, Josh, do you think this is going to influence anything from the Valiant? Do you think that they could do something here that could try to put them on board? Because right now, after Eichenwald, it looked like they were way stronger on our first map on Lijian than the last map. And I feel like now that momentum that they kind of built up for themselves, at least putting up a really good fight in those 3 rounds, has now diminished.
Momentum's a bit of an interesting one too if you look at it from like a game type to game type basis, Vicky. With Control, at least, momentum plays a much bigger factor because normally the team that caps the point first ends up winning because that momentum turns into ult charge, which then you can kind of cycle through. You win the first fight, you naturally gain more ult charge, so you're able to win the second fight, and then the team that lost that second fight can come back in and win with their ults, which they've gained over the course of 2 fights. So that momentum is much more of an influential factor when it comes to Control. A little bit less so with other game modes. Yes, you can kind of roll through with that same kind of mentality on these kind of maps, these escort maps, but it's a lot easier to kind of stall out and hold out for a lot longer as well if you are the defending team. Let's have a look who is on the defense first. It looks like it's going to be the Spark, and it's going to be the same flavor. And I really enjoy this comp from the Spark specifically. And I mentioned it in Eichenwalde, the way that it's a 2-pronged attack. One really attacking style, and then you've got maybe not 2-pronged attack. Maybe that's a bit of a different word analogy I can use here, but it's an attack and a defense. You've got Banar, Shy, MCD, and IDK holding the defensive line, and then Gushue and Sominsu jumping into the back line or even the front line. We saw Crystal get annihilated by Gushue and Sominsu with the pile driver, the slam straight on top of him, and then Sominsu just peppering him from the back line. And then you also have Shy also taking and chunking people really low with those dynamites from afar, backed up with MCD and IDK, this undiveable backline. But I like the flavor of Valiant as well, looking pretty nice with the damage boost on Crystal. He's definitely been the powerhouse of the Valiant. He's been the one getting the kills over the course of the season, so damage boosting him is only going to work out well for the Valiant.
Which makes sense too, considering the fact that Hy-Vee has been able to really stay consistent on that Mercy. Silver 3 really taking so much damage, having to back out of the situation. Talk about damage to Mulan having to get out of the situation with Sumin now bringing that fight over, hanging out behind the billboard too. You see Gushue also right there to help peel for Sumin and also allow Sumin to get a lot more impact off of those individual picks if they find that dive target.
Yeah, 1000%, Vicky. The impact of the traces here is going to be almost 100% in favor of the Spark.
Oh, no!
Dear. Okay, Crystal's dead. Hy-Vee's dead. Yeah, you got the res on Crystal, but you ain't going to live long, unfortunately, buddy. It looks like the Valiant are going to have to start again. Let's go back to that point, though. Sominsu's going to have a much larger impact than Milanran here is going to have, because Hy-Vee is almost permanently pocketing Crystal, right? So you've only really got the Zenyatta to kind of back you up. The Valiant are just kind of dying and falling over here, so I'm just going to carry on my point. And Somansu's got 2 supports at his back because Bernard and Guxue, they're not going to take a whole lot of damage. Guxue can roll to different health packs. Ball is very much like a solo hero. You can kind of roll off on your own, a good solo queue hero at that. And Bernard's going to be sitting behind a shield too, so he's not taking a crazy amount of poke damage. So Somansu's not only got the orb, he's got the cookies, the armor packs from IDK as well. So him versus Milan Run, I take Somansu on these comps any other day.
Talking about fresh cookies. Freshly baked here from IDK as he's trying to get that rally online soon. They have MCD with the Transcendence to stop this engagement from the Valiant. They're just trying to find a pick, but with the way that the Spark are playing right now, Joss, it's so difficult. You have Silver 3 trying to find Bernard and push him off of that high ground, but then you also have Crystal going down first. Guxue getting these follows from the Discord. Guxue has been on fire this entire series. He's so consistent, and now he can get everybody off of that high ground if he just rolls right back in. Yeah, Sumasu just also getting the follow, just finding this the follow from the Discord orbs. Wuyo now goes down, the Transcendence is out, and Guxue is now going to push into their spawn because no one is stopping Guxue currently.
Just see what I mean? Like, these Discords are getting so much value. Like, that, you get Discorded, you're going to die instantly to Guxue or Somansu. And then Shai's just killing you from the back line as well. Like, this is insane. It really feels like right now, Valiant are going to be able to push around this second corner. They got it around the first, yes, but now it's under the gas station, or the petrol station. And good luck from here on out. Look at the Sparks ult bank. Yeah, thank you for highlighting that, observers. It's it's looking pretty good, sorry. The Valiants, it's on par, but Hype is going to have a tough time keeping the Zenyatta alive here. Beautiful pulse bomb. Problem is, what happens? Well, I just hit the trance and save the rest of my team at the same time as well. Oh, not quite enough to save Guxue, though, as he gets dominated.
They answered back here, the Valiant, too, with that Discord orb and now the Transcendence to keep everyone alive. Shucheng just trying to find this Gravitic Flex, finds the support lineup of the Spark.
He's getting killed by the Bob.
And
that whole time he was in the air, Vicky. Yeah, he can't follow that up with any meaningful damage because the Bob was in the air just killing him. The rest of the Valiant couldn't kill the Bob, so they couldn't even move forward either. It was a nice flux, land on both supports, but IDK was also there using the rally.
And the fact that IDK was able to help out MCD with that rally has allowed Spark to hold into some of these ult banks. They've used up the support ult banks, but they have to deal with these mines. They have to deal with the Gravitic Flux. Who's going to come out on top?
Okay, that's cheating.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
cheating.
To be fair, yeah, the sandwich too. MCD was like, you thought, but IDK is right behind you. Meanwhile,
IDK should have honored the duel. Just saying, honored the duel, the Zen 1v1 duel. You couldn't use the Mega Health Pack either as well because he took it before, so probably should have honored that IDK, but I guess I'll let you off. There you go, round 1 complete. I mean, they got it around the first corner, which is nice, but it's going to be a Spark 3-0 from here, Vicky. It's going to be almost impossible. The Spark are looking too good right now. The Valiant not looking at their best form currently. Maybe it takes a couple more extra reps in the gym with Uber's workout streams before you can start taking some wins off of the Spark.
Or maybe taking some notes from Jack to Jonak too. I mean, you know, everyone out here being healthy. Gotta get that mental in check here to make sure that you perform your best in game too. So overall, though, talking about best in game, the Spark, they're popping off. I love their positioning on that defense. They made it so difficult for the Valiant to get anything started. They would have to approach from the high ground, and then what? The fact that Guxue is terrorizing your backline, rolling in and out, the Discord orb from Wuya isn't really taken full advantage of. It's just difficult when you have so many of these pieces that are the Spark split up and forcing you to split some of that attention when you're forced to funnel out of that high ground cave that you currently see them stationed at.
Yeah, it was super tough. 2 very cohesive units from the Spark just dominating the server. Double hit scan to start out with for the Spark. 7-2 is just going to peek with the Widow, see if he can find a very quick headshot. Rather classic Route 66. There's a couple of nice little like pixel angles you can take if they're holding the super high ground. Crystal throws the dynamite to get some extra burn damage to start off with, and yeah, it's going to dip right back. Okay, here we go. First push. Let's see how far they can get it with this first one. You got to remember as well, Hype's actually not on the Mercy either, so 1 death here for the Valiant could spell disaster. The spawn is very, very close for the Spark.
They won't have that res to be able to hang out with, especially since Hybe's on the Brigida. Silver 3 is already dead, by the way. Talk about the fact that Guangzhou had that damage from the slam. Shy gets the follow-up, and the Discord Orb didn't make things any better if you're Silver 3. They have to stop the payload. Yeah, they have to actually make sure that this payload isn't moving, and meanwhile, while they're dropping like flies, Jaws, it doesn't look like that's even going to be possible.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be possible whatsoever. Here comes Silver 3, use those overshields for a little bit, but the rest of the Valiant are also low. That pinkish hue box of victory looking so close for the Spark currently. Summer running through the team. Guangzhou is going to turn Hybe into a pancake, and Shoucheng's going to bite the dust as well. A couple of meters and it'll do it, Vicky.
Oh, they're still trying to contest for as long as possible. It's not going to do it though, with Malaran going down. Currently the Spark, another dominating win. 3 maps in a row. It's going to be 3-0 in favor for the Spark. The Valiant still with only 2 maps under their pocket for the entire season so far, Jaws. I mean, the Valiant, it looked like they were doing a lot better for that first map. Of course, you talk about control and how things could shift quite quickly depending on who wins that first map, who gets those ultimates online first, but they couldn't keep it up proceeding on through the next 2 maps. The Spark, I like what I'm seeing from them. I like the fact that they're rotating through this roster more consistently, so that way they get the full benefits of each and every single one of these individual players.
Yeah, it's nice to see Summer for sure, getting a couple of maps in, and that's his first win as well, Vicky, in the Overwatch League season 2021. Thank goodness. He ended up taking the win there, boosting his morale just a little bit. But nice start for the Spark overall. Take a clean 3-0. And the map difference does sometimes matter as we go towards the qualification stages. So not losing a single map there is going to be rather beneficial for them as they do move forward. But yeah, all signs looking good for them thus far. The real test is going to come later this week, of course, when they have to, or later in the coming weeks when they have to face the Dragons and the Philadelphia Fusion, who are looking stronger than ever. But I guess we better do our player of the match here, Vicky, as well.
Yeah, Su is going to be player of the match, presented by Xfinity. Looking at Su and what he was able to do, though, at least, minus, of course, that funny hack that we saw as Su had fallen down on that second variation of Legion. You know, you can't do really much off of that, but the fact that he was able to pop off on that Sombra, able to get a lot of impact on the Tracer, getting the follow from Guangzhou, I think this is a great highlight to show what synergy looks like from the Spark. And they are able to utilize a lot of their DPS players, rotate them out between Su, Architect, Shy, and actually take full utilization over them.
Yeah, it's nice. Imagine coming in for 3 matches and you end up getting the MVP for one of them, so that's pretty nice. That must feel pretty good. First match win for Sominsu this season, and his first MVP, so there you go. Not bad, or player of the match, sorry, not MVP. So that's not bad whatsoever from himself, and you mentioned it there, yeah, perfectly, Vicky. The coordination's looking really good. Him and Guangzhou assassinating people on the back line. 2 pulse bomb attached, 2 kills on the Tracer. There you go, 100% success rate. Not bad whatsoever.
And while Guangzhou and Su are terrorizing your backline, you also have to deal with the dynamites coming in from Shy, clicking heads. It was just so much damage coming in from the Spark. It's difficult to deal with, especially since the Valiant seems to they're still trying to get their footing here within the season.
Yeah, they are, yeah. I mean, maybe they'll pick up a couple more maps later down the line, but we'll have to wait and see. Let's go to a quick break, though, Vicky. We've got one more segment before we get into our next series, so we'll see you in a bit.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.
It for the first series of the day here in the Eastern region, Jaws. But you know what time it is? It's crunch time by Cheez-It Grooves. And so far, looking at the Spark and how they performed, I just want to highlight the entire team, honestly. The entire roster has been able to come together and absolutely pop off, with Su also being the player of the match.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking great so far. I think the crunch time for them is really going to be getting into the finale. The finale. It's like a TV show. Well, Overwatch League's an anime, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting into the tournament at the very end, right? I mean, they got knocked out by NYXL last time around. That is their crunch time moment, I think, for this this tournament for sure. I mean, yeah, it's got to sting just a little bit, having such a nice showing in the June Joust, the prerequisite to the June Joust, going 4-0, dropping 2 maps, and then getting knocked out at the very end to the NYXL. And this is crunch time for them, Vicky. They're gonna make it this time around, I believe.
I definitely believe it too. I believe in the Spark, especially when you gotta make sure to light it up here, because seeing the way that they've been able to perform between the June Joust and now starting things off in the Summer Showdown, I have full faith that they're definitely going to make it into the final bracket, Jaws.
Yeah, I hope so, honestly. There's some cracking games coming up a little bit later, though. Or I say a little bit later, in a couple of minutes, in fact. We've got Seoul Dynasty versus the Chengdu Hunters on your screens rather soon. Vicky, that's going to be a good one, and that'll be ZP and Doa taking you through the action in the next 2 series. So we'll hand off to them. We'll see you guys very soon. We'll see you tomorrow for some Overwatch League action, but ZP and Doa, stick around for them. They're going to be on in a sec.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. So much flavor, it's a mind crunch.
this is all about positioning right there. That's going to be the name of the game for Prophet if he wants to stick on this point. The sound there to keep the rest of Hunters alive. I love the approach right there to follow with a Death Blossom. That's going to not only control some space, but put out a lot of damage for a monk, especially now that Prophet has his duplicate. He's about to get this Diva Bomb right before the duplicate runs out, and Kaneki's outfits told him to sit down, and that is indeed what he's doing in the spawn.
This is the thing, they're actually just building up to another nano. They were taking so much damage at the time, and now they're just
oh, and they did it just in time here too. It's going to be Leaf who dives into both of the supports, and this is exactly what they want. Oh, that was so crucial too, because he was aiming at Nisha, and Elsa's gone, and both tanks are gone from that Diva Bomb. It's 2U getting the support from the rest of the team. Seoul Dynasty now taking over the Hunters.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Overwatch League. Late night with Doe and ZP has begun. ZP, it's been forever, man. I feel like it's, well, it has been like weeks, right? Obviously, it's been nearly a month since we've gotten to cast some Overwatch League. We're here in the Summer Showdown. Hero pools are a thing of the past for a little while, at least, which makes me happy. And I'm hyped. I'm hyped to get to cast some matches, and maybe, just maybe, the 3-0 curse for us has been broken. Maybe we can get like some 3-1s, some 3-2s going. Who knows? Anything's possible.
Yeah, I mean, anything that's not a 3-0, that's what we're here for. And you know what, we might have a chance of that here today. We look at the matches ahead. We haven't casted the Valiant in the Summer Showdown. We might not cast the Valiant at all in the Summer Showdown, so our odds are going up, Doa. They have never been better.
That's true. And you know what else has never been better? The art that you out there have been submitting to overwatchleague.com/art-gallery. We want to see your best summer-themed stuff this time. So definitely go ahead and do that. It's been really fun seeing what people have been making. I keep saying I'm going to make some art. Maybe this is finally the time. Maybe it's finally the time to get some Doa art in there. I probably can't win anything, but at least it might be fun to submit something, right? Maybe you and I should have a contest. We should submit something. Do like a Twitter vote or something. I don't know.
I already could see, Doa, your art's going to be far better than mine. I don't know. It'd be a stick figure. That's number one. That's because that's all I can draw. And then beyond that, I don't know. I could draw McCree, like, you know, a pistol, sort of.
This needs to happen, by the way. I'm convinced this needs to happen at this point. We're going to make this happen. We're going to do some art for the Summer Showdown. Don't worry about it. But speaking of Showdown, ZP, we've got a match ahead of us that should be interesting. Chengdu Hunters versus Seoul Dynasty. I think this one could be close. Both of these teams have kind of seen their ups and their downs. Chengdu Hunters, though, they started out hot this season, and now they've kind of become a bit lukewarm. They're coming into this one 4-4, whereas I feel like Seoul, if, you know, past history is any indication, like the longer the year goes on, the more the pressure ramps up, their kind of results tend to ramp up a little bit as well.
Yeah, I mean, Seoul, they're always a team that turns up when it's needed most. Usually that's in the playoffs. Regular season is variable. But guess what? Chengdu, Doa, also incredibly variable during the regular season. This is a matchup where going in, I don't care what sort of logic you want to apply. I don't think anyone here on Earth has any idea what this is going to be like, because the reality is that you don't know what Seoul is going to show up on any given day, and you don't know what Chengdu is going to show up on any given day. And to top it all off, it's a new meta where we'll see what takes these teams are going to go with. So really, Doa, anything can happen here.
I mean, can you really apply logic at all to the East region? Like, we've just seen like everyone who looks favored lose, and everyone who looks lost is suddenly favored again. Here's Leave on our screen right now. He's been one of the bright spots for the Hunters for sure. Playing the Echo, of course. He's #1 in focusing beam kills. He knows how to get those executes, ZP.
Yeah, Leave is incredibly talented, and you know, regardless of what variation of a team you've seen him on, one thing that is for sure is that mechanically he's second to none. And when Chengdu gets explosive, a lot of it is off Leave having a really good game. So going into the series here, you go, okay, what are we going to see from Leave here today? And you know, if you're a Chengdu fan, you're going, well, please show us your very best stuff. You know, don't get caught up on, you know, going involved in a meta that, you know, might not be the meta.
That's right, Mystery Man Taro Cookie coming in now as well for the Hunters. We'll see how he does today. Monk looks like his photo was taken when he wasn't quite expecting it. Someone was like, hey, Monk, and he's like, what? And then they just use that photo. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they probably posed a question going like, hey, the photo didn't turn out super well. Do you want to retake the photo? It's like, nah, I know, just take it, whatever. It doesn't matter.
He looks fine. That's like that's material for the grams right there. You can put that in your profile for whatever online dating service you choose to use. Meanwhile, over on the Seoul Dynasty side, I'm excited. ZP, it's obvious. I'm a little bit biased towards Seoul. I lived in Seoul for a long time. I got to watch some of these players come up through Apex back at OGN back in the day, which applies to like 70% of the players in the league right now. But that's besides the point. Seoul Dynasty is the home team of esports to a certain extent, right? So this is a team that's come so close to a championship. It seems like every season they just barely miss the mark. Maybe this one is going to be it, but it's always fun to watch this group play.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, Noah. Your love has not turned to hate yet, where Esmond, I love this team so much, but they keep disappointing me. But I love this team so much. You know, it's that
I learned how to handle that from living in Minnesota and watching their sports teams.
Oh, gosh. Why would you do that? Also, entirely true. I have no comeback. Oh.
Yeah. It's true. But this should be a good one. You know, I was trying to do my pick'ems before this. I was having a very hard time deciding. I ended up, you know, obviously going with Seoul. And I went 3-0 because we only cast 3-0 ZP, apparently, this season. Hopefully that's going to be different today. But, you know, until it changes, better safe than sorry with my pick'ems.
Yeah, for me, I went against the overriding reason where I think you're right. We've only casted 3-0s. Well, not only, but it's been a lot of 3-0s. I should have gone with the 3-0. But I went 3-2 for Seoul because I wanted to reflect the variability in this matchup going in, which is, I don't know which team is going to show up, but you know what, it's map 1. We're going to find out real soon.
I feel like it's going to be close either way. Both of these teams are kind of on that trajectory right now. We're getting things started here on Ilios for our control map. And control's always an interesting one to me because we get to see a lot of team fighting. We get to see some good individual performances. But I usually feel like at the end of Control, I still don't have a good idea of which team is kind of favored in the match, right? Because Control can be so chaotic. You can see that Seoul did win a 3-2 after being nearly reverse swept. So these teams have played close in the past, CP. We'll see if that ends up being true today as we get things started here on the Well.
And one thing to notice here as far as metas in the Summer Showdown, Tracer is back in both Seoul and the Hunters, more than willing to put Tracer into the lineup. Fitz and Leave already feel each other out. Right now we're just looking at Taro Cookie. Here in the back of McCree, not really finding too much here, Doa, but both teams still a little bit posturing. But now Seoul looking for the way in. Pressure coming in, and Fitz is already taken down.
Wow, yeah, I mean, Seoul gets a couple. They've traded blows, but it looks like Tuyu is going to be able to get a little bit of a cleanup here. And Seoul just kind of doing a good job of taking that better defensive position early on. They've got a little bit more durable of a team. You've got double bubble going, and I think that really played a big part in it. That it just seemed like the Hunters couldn't get the damage in at the end of the day.
Prophet is really well lit, by the way. Take a look at that. I think it's his monitor just like set up the max brightness, but just, you know, it's just
angelic,
blindingly lit.
Yep. Taro Cookie sneaking on the side, trying to make a name for himself here in the league now. Yeah. It looks like they'll just
wait.
What?
Okay.
That just
Seoul?
happened? Wait,
yeah, Seoul.
What?
They didn't stand the point, but
did I just?
No.
All right, so Seoul's going to be taking this back, it looks like. They're winning the fight, but I was wondering, did I just, like, pass out and miss an entire team fight? Like,
no.
The Hunters just walked up and took that. What? It's
they
late
walked up
night,
and took
man.
it.
Things are getting crazy.
Yeah, and then what we saw there is a repeat of the first team fight where Marvel goes in, sacrifices himself for the greater good, but creates enough of an opportunity that the rest of Seoul is able to go in and clean things up. And, you know, when you're running a McCree comp, though, you're really hoping for the McCree to have huge impact. And so far for Taro Cookie, it's been a pretty muted start thus far.
Yeah. Well, it definitely has. I mean, they've been able to go and get 14 free percentage points, I suppose, but now Seoul's looking like they're going to watch the point a little bit closer here. Marvel gets one in a Monk already. Wow, the Zenyatta down again. Welcome back, by the way, Zenyatta, out for a little while, but feeling the fury of Winston already in this match as Zen's off and do Prophet. Picks up another kill with the beam there. And Seoul having no trouble at all, forcing the Hunters back. Really lackluster team fighting so far for the Hunters in this round.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that Seoul's just been getting great initiations over and over again. It's put the Hunters in a really tough spot. And again, a McCree that's not getting any space and not landing shots is usually going to be a recipe for disaster. Marvel, though, under a little bit of pressure, just going to bounce out of there. Hold on to the Prophet now. Gaga goes in, dropped in the minefield. Graviton can be dropped in response. Primal out for Marvel. Both teams throwing it in. Transcendence in play right now for the Hunters. Marvel going to bounce back over. Board disruption coming in. Low HP somehow got away.
Ooh.
Still.
Wow.
Gotta get healed back up, but While this goes on, Prophet, duplicate in the front line all the while. Seoul still at a full 6 right now, does Toyo. Able to take down Elsa on the side. Vettel, though, firing back. 2 down for Seoul. Prophet, though, will not go down. Leave, pulse bomb in. Very back and forth. Seoul still at the slight edge as Fitz is in on the corners.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing we've seen all round long, right? As it looks like Seoul's going to wrap this up, where you get some of the fragile members of Seoul going down. The DPS will fall from time to time, but the more tanky members, you know, the members that can hide behind those bubbles, just outlast the Hunters. And you see some laughter on the face of Seoul Dynasty, a little bit of chuckling, as that seemed like a pretty easy round. Just that one weird little instance where they just let Hunters walk in and take it, but overall, that was domination by Seoul Dynasty coming into this one.
Yeah, the Dynasty not touching at that point, still very weird. Like,
they
weren't even
that was one of the
pressure.
weirdest things I've ever seen. Yeah, that was one of the all 6 people there, and the other team just walks up and takes it. I can't remember. I don't know if I've ever actually seen that happen before, where there's just no
so
fight
weird.
at all. That was very strange, and it wasn't like a really sneaky thing either. They just walked in. Very bizarre.
Well, we're gonna have some swap ups here. Throwing aside the Cowboy, instead going over to Ash's Taro Cookie. Might have a little bit more impact. We'll see. Dynasty,
yeah, a little bit longer sight lines on this particular point. Makes a bit of sense. Yeah. Bob very effective at holding this point as well when you throw him in.
Gaga's off.
All right.
I don't
Goodbye.
know. We didn't have a viewpoint on there, so we don't know if it was assisted or entirely self-inflicted. The kill feed isn't always representative, but you know,
yeah.
You lose your Hammond early, mostly for free, Doa. It's not great for winning the team fight, as it turns out. Who knew?
Well, Marvel got the environmental kill on Elsa as well. I mean, Elsa might have already been taking a bit of a dive to regroup with the rest of the team, but yeah, that was bizarre seeing Gaga go out like that. Might have been something like a coach gun or something, but didn't show up in the kill feed if it was.
Yeah, it's a mystery. That's why you gotta go back and look at the replay later in the week. We'll figure it out, Doa. We can do it together. But now the Hunters...
Put on my calendar.
The Hunters looking for a way back in. Taro Cookie right now still struggling to find any shots as Creative and Tuyu taking them down on the other side. And there is a bit of a hit scan difference opening up here, among other things, where, you know, maybe it's nerves, who knows, but it's been a rough debut for Taro Cookie so far.
It sure has, and I mean, the thing is whenever you run into these team game situations, and you can look at this in esports, you can look at this in traditional sports, but there's always kind of the motto of pick on the new guy, right? And they're certainly doing a good job of that this time. Terra obviously going to be feeling the pressure a little bit here too, as now the Hunters try to retake, but they need to get something going here. And
they really do.
Marvel off the edge.
Seoul needs to get an equalizer sooner rather than later. Valkyrie's still in progress right now. Barely hanging on is the Diva. And, ooh, yeah, not a bad eat coming in, but Bonk on the outside takes down Prophet. Doesn't get taken down in turn. Leave right now on cleanup duty, and this should be the Hunters getting a take here, though. They only need a little bit more. Fitz takes on Taro Cookie on the side, but still a very Hunters-sided fight. But it has to be the first team fight of many. 3%. They're going to have to win about 4 in a row. And by the way, Fitz is still here. Fitz is still on top. Finally goes down. But Seoul's being very scrappy right now, Dawn. They commit the Transcendence. They're coming right back in. And why not? Prophet got the pulse bomb kill. Seoul says, let's just end this now. They even get the res on the Fitz. And this is just about over.
I mean, just hero play by Fitz, right? Able to get the kill there. Looks like Hunters are going to be holding on to this one for a little bit long. Elsa getting Fitz at the self-destruct, but, you know, Fitz paving the way, despite getting taken out, for Seoul to just get the jump, first of all, on a few members of the Hunters that had to go up on the roof and chase Fitz. They were out of position because of that. And then Seoul just kind of gets the numbers advantage as well because of the pick on a Taro Cookie. So just a really nice play by Fitz to just kind of turn an awkward situation into a win. And now 99% impending here for Seoul Dynasty, and they might just 2-0 this map.
Well, Hunters, they're going to try and take things back. Bob comes out early to fight Seoul, able to mostly disengage. Tank front line, though, pretty beaten down. Tuyu down early. Leave will fish him off. Prophet, though, on the prowl. Doa already 2 for Prophet. And this is who you have to look at now. Tracer is back on the menu. Prophet with another. Unstoppable on the side, making 4.
Wow,
Prophet
4.
just rolling through the Hunters. And that should be it.
I mean, the Hunters were able to take it back for now, so the Seoul Dynasty are going to have to take a bit of time for that. But Prophet says, you know what? I think I played enough on Ilios. I think I'm going to end the map right here, and that's exactly what he does for his team, the Seoul Dynasty. And ZP, you know, I think, did we curse it saying this one was going to be close? I did say at the beginning of this map that I felt like Control wasn't a good litmus test of where two teams are at in a given match, but that said, that was on the extreme end, right? That felt very favored for Seoul from basically start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, Seoul looked better, and I mean, a big part here is that, look, Overwatch is a team game, but when we were looking at Taro Cookie on the POV, we didn't see him hitting a whole lot of shots on top of the pressure being pretty overwhelming coming in from Seoul. So clearly Chengdu needs to change things up. Luckily for Chengdu, they are a team that is willing to make substitutions on the fly and, you know, swap things up, change who's playing what. So, you know, it's just map 1, Doa. Still a decent amount of series left to go, but right now, if you're a Seoul fan looking at this, you're going, man, sure glad Tracer's back and I'm glad the Prophet's playing it because he looked pretty good.
A single map, but a dominating map for Seoul Dynasty. We'll see if they can keep up the momentum or if the Chengdu Hunters can strike back when we come back in just a few here on the Overwatch League.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, Overwatch League fans. Doa and ZP here with you for some late night East Region Overwatch action. And all the action was pretty much on the Seoul Dynasty side that last map, wasn't it, ZP?
Yeah, it really was. And I mean, look, Prophet being good on Tracer, it's a tale as old as time, or at the very least, Noah, as old as the Overwatch League and some of the tournaments preceding it, like Apex. But look, I mean, between the two teams, Seoul looked more aggressive. Their players were mechanically more on point, and the Hunters, to a degree, they looked lost. They weren't on the same page. And on top of it all, you have a debut here for Taro Cookie, and it's been a rough one. And if you're not, if you're going to play a hero like McCree or a hero like Ash, and you're not going to have a big impact landing key shots in the windows that you have, your team's going to have a rough time, and that certainly did not help the Hunters one bit. But, you know, Doa, it is just control, and sometimes things do change pretty radically when you get into the other map types. So, you know, now we'll see if the Hunters can bounce back, or, you know, if it's our curse playing its hand again with a potential 3-0 on the horizon.
I don't want to, you know, bear any responsibility, but it has become a growing trend over our matches over the course of the season. So we'll see. You know, the thing that stood out with me for that match was obviously a lot of good mechanical plays from Seoul, like you were saying, but just like allowing the Hunters to take the point at the beginning of that first one, uncharacteristic misstep for an Overwatch League caliber team. We don't see that very often, where another team is able to just walk onto the point and take it without any shots fired even, really. So I think Seoul Dynasty in the next round specifically looked even tighter than they did on that first one. I think that was a little bit of a wake-up call. Shaking off the rust a little bit. It's like, okay, yeah, we got to get our heads back in tournament mode. It's time to play seriously again, and you know, we'll see what happens in the next map here. But I'm kind of waiting to see if there's going to be any changes. I'm looking. It doesn't look like there's any changes on the side for the Chengdu Hunters. As you can see, they're keeping in Taro Cookie. So, you know, again, like, we don't want to be too hard on Taro Cookie. It is his first time out. There is a lot of pressure. You are going up against players like Prophet right now, and Fitz, who has really impressed me this season in terms of being a deadly DPS player. So it's rough. You know, it's rough if you're Taro Cookie. You might be a great player in the ladder. You might be a great player in some of the other leagues, but this is the Overwatch League, you know, and that first map is kind of one of those welcome to the Overwatch League moments, you know.
Nothing personnel, kid. And yeah, I mean, the one thing about the Dynasty, when you look at this as a team, is that it is a team just chock full of veteran talent. I mean, people that you know, have been in the league for years and years, and Prophet, of course, foremost among them. Not a player known for really having bad games for the most part. They do happen from time to time, but you know, usually a very consistent player. And
True.
Now we take a look at the Hunters and what they'll be doing here in the defense, though, as, you know, again, it is a new meta. All heroes are available. Team's still experimenting. And for the Hunter side, it's going to be a double shield with Torb and McCree. So we'll see how this one pans out.
Well, I like that we're getting to see the Hunters on defense actually coming into this map, because I love to think about the player mentality side of things. And where you just kind of got steamrolled in the first map, now you have to go on defense in the second map. It really is a test of mentality, because they're going to be able to come at you again, right? So here's where you have to sort of dig deep. Here's where you have to sort of, you know, play a solid game and get yourself mentally back into it as well. You've had a break. You've had time to regroup. Seoul Dynasty, though, they do a bit of scouting. They are making some changes, and look at this. May McCree coming out this time around. All right, so back to a little bit of what we saw a lot of in the first stage of Overwatch League this year.
Yeah, and I don't think Seoul's going to be too subtle here. They're just simply going to go up, take the high ground, find a way to rush in to the Hunters, and use a wall to seal the deal. And you know, this is something for the Hunters, where the Hunters do have to do some damage to Seoul before they get on top of them. And you know, the window to do that's going to be pretty short. Dynasty, though,
in a very dangerous place. The Volto's in a very dangerous place. Oh, Gaga, rather.
So is Gaga.
Gaga was in a very dangerous place.
Gaga.
All right. All right,
well, that's what I was saying to begin with. They were looking through the isolation. They dropped the wall, rushed down one target, and immediately the Dynasty easily take point A. And again, it wasn't even close. The Hunters look completely out of sorts.
I don't recall that being a common place for an Orisa to be standing on this defense. I am concerned about looking at that, I was concerned that they'd be able to get enough healing on him, even with the shield there. It's not a very high HP shield for the Orisa. And as you can see, he kind of just got wrecked. Oh, Leave manages to pick off creative, though. That's going to slow things down a little bit for Seoul.
Honestly, when in doubt, throw Leave on Hangzhou. It's been surprisingly good for the Hunters this season because Leave's Hangzhou is just sneaky good. Gaga, meanwhile, getting the D-Mech off to the side, so Dynasty at the very least going to get slowed down a bit by this double sniper swap. Now, not the swap double sniper, I am curious to see for the Dynasty, do they change anything up on their own? The one downside, of course, being, hey, their ultimates are in a pretty good spot now. They swap, they lose it, and for now, it looks like the Dynasty, they're going to stay the course.
Yeah. I think so. I think you can kind of just stick with this. We have Prophet over on the Tracer as well, so he can start to make some plays now that he's got a little bit of room to flank here on the second point. Taking the elevator up, everybody's going the high ground. They're going to drop the Batiste wall as well. Fitz, we wanted to have that up on the top, but he got knocked off. That didn't work out for Seoul.
No, and Leave got chased down. They got rid of the threat. And now, for Taro Cookie, it's do or die here in the Widowmaker. Can the Hunters leverage a hit scan and bring things back a bit? Now, while the Dynasty are going up on the top here, Doa, no one's pushing the payload. Okay, finally they put someone over to it, but the Hunters haven't lost too much in payload progress during this, but they have lost a lot of their defensive positioning as the Dynasty have taken up residence on the high ground.
Dude, if Marvel doesn't 360 Earth Shatter off the top of the building, I'm going to be so disappointed. This is the perfect opportunity for 360 Shatter. Oh,
he dropped the
maybe
shatter.
Not. Well, he did get Elsa, I guess. All right, he did shatter. He did get Elsa. Prophet finds Taro Cookie.
The mines are huge!
Oh, but Gaga comes back. Massive win for the Hunters. They needed that.
He just rolls in and drops the mines double. His own disruption and fall through. And the Dynasty just get caught in the middle of Hollywood. And what a good reset, because guess what? All those gestures that they had to do to get onto top, no pun intended there, for the Dynasty, they have to do it again if they want to take the high ground. Now, and that's why they're partially swapping it, right? They're playing Marvel over to Winston, so they can just go up immediately with Winston Diva and make things a little bit quicker. And Monk gets caught immediately by Fitz.
Yep, Fitz definitely known for his Sombra. Marvel finds Leave, so they're starting to find ways to pick apart this fragile comp for the Hunters right now. Animo even gets a support 1v1, support combat going the way of Lucio there. And it looks like Seoul Dynasty comes back with a vengeance. Clean team fight win, and they're going to get a lot of progress towards the end of B here.
Yep, and also seeing swapping. The double sniper is gone. Tracer McCree back over and in. Both teams swapping a lot in this matchup, looking for an edge. And by the way, Moira's back. We thought she wouldn't be here, but she's back in, and that means Cole could be coming soon. Monk, though, can drop the Transcendence early here for the Hunters Dynasty. They try and back out. No! Animo gets caught just a second before B.
But what? They got the point.
They don't touch the point!
Hunters, please.
I gotta tell you, point presence is at an all-time low today between both teams.
It really is. This is a bit of a we're in the comedic circus entertainer party mode tonight. That's for sure. We'll put it that way. Seoul Dynasty gets another one. Another team fight win as they start to push into C here with about 3 minutes remaining. So not a ton of time, but enough. With the way things have been going, it's enough. But how backbreaking mentally does it have to be for Hunters to win that team fight and then lose the point anyway? I can't believe it. Like you said, point control definitely at an all-time low in this series so far.
Yeah, the sad thing about that too is that it's not just a mental breaker there. It's also potentially a map breaker where if the Hunters had just held on to the point there, they had a really good shot at the second point hold. But now, Seoul, they're set up, they're good to go. Fitz holding on to EMP, drops it, his fault, they're going to be there. Prophet gets the back, again finding Monk, who has the world's least enjoyable job right now as the Dynasty continue to be all in. However, Hunters fighting back to a degree here, able to push things back. The payload gets good progress, but the Hunters will stop any form of momentum.
Yeah, I think the main concern is a lot of what you were saying earlier, ZP, where now that this payload is deep into point C, that puts a lot of pressure onto the Hunters, too, that when it does finally flip to their round, even if Seoul Dynasty doesn't complete it, getting it this far in Hollywood oftentimes is map winning, right? We'll see, though. Prophet going hunting. Trying to find Leave. Fitz with the same thought process.
You just look at Mug just checking side to side here, going, Prophet's out there. I know he's out there. He's coming for me. Gaga, meanwhile, a little bit of high ground control. Now mines are up. Oh,
Cowboys
that was such a nice engage.
Like that.
Elsa piercing the way of the Yveltal and immediately shutting down the Dynasty, giving them a taste of their own medicine, Doa. Minute 15 left, and the Hunters, bit of a rebound.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. We see these one-sided fights from the Hunters, but honestly, this has been a strange map because a lot of the fights have just been one-sided, right? Prophet gets another couple of meters. Oh, man, you got to watch out for that if you're the Hunters. Like, every meter is so important right here, but yeah, the fight's been weird. A lot of one-sided stuff. Marvel gets himself caught, jumps into a place he can't escape from, and now Soul has to back away. They need to wait for Marvel to come back up and get a strong, full 6-person push here on the payload. They're poking, but they really can't afford to lose anybody right now.
Yeah, I mean,
40
they
remain.
would commit on something if it came out with Gaga being down, but you're right. You take a look at how Soul's playing. They're mostly just keeping presence on the payload. They're waiting for Marvel to be back in. He is back in. And now they're going to head back in. But Gaga sang the tone.
Huge.
Oh, the stick!
Oh!
Prophet got on the Taro Cookie on the side. Yveltal and Gaga, though, just able to rush forward. This Brigida is a real problem for the Dynasty right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, that was just another great setup into the Pulse Bomb from Leave. It didn't get a lot of kills right initially, but it did enough damage that it was easy cleanup for the rest of the team. And now Seoul Dynasty, unless you're going to find some sneaky way to do this again, I think this is where the payload stops.
Well, they are going to get in contest.
Well, one more time. They got back fast.
They don't have the ultimates to back this up. This is where they hope that the Hunters make some form of mistake. Also hanging back, self-destruct, right down Broad Street, Deadeye in progress, and this is just zoning them off the payload right now. Taro Cookie blinding to you.
Wow,
and that should be enough, Doa.
I mean, Taro Cookie finds the play he's been looking for all series long, right? That is a map-winning play. Welcome to the Overwatch League again. From Taro Cookie, this time in a positive way, and they do stop the payload. You know, I think you're still going to be a little bit disappointed if you're the Hunters because you wanted to get that stop on point B. You got a little bit tricked there by the Seoul Dynasty, able to ninja push it through, but, you know, at least you stopped them from getting 3. You know, you've got a chance to end it without having to push the payload all the way.
Yeah, and I mean, this is something here where, you know, it's very winnable for the Hunters, but, you know, if we go to the idea of what is the worst possible scenario, not to, like, bring it into existence. Oh, you gotta love it. I like this play more in the Tavern, though, back in the middle of Hollywood, where that was just a pure, just solo almost play by Gaga, where he rolled in, dropped the mines, and was a lot of his follow-through in the pushing people into the mines, but still a really good initiation there. But to the other point I was making, though, is that, you know, for the Hunters, at least get point A here. Don't get full held, because that is the one way to just spoil any good defense, is to fall victim to another team's far better defense.
Yeah, and, you know, if that happens, that kind of breaks that, you know, mental momentum that was built up by getting the hold in the very last round, right? So we'll see what happens. Fitz and Prophet on Sombra and McCree, respectively. So Fitz going to take an early scout, checking things out a little bit here. Leave over on the Doomfist. We know he's got a strong Doomfist. We've seen it before. Will they be able to take point A here?
We'll have to see.
Maybe the swap.
Yeah. They didn't like what they saw, so it's going to be a
Yeah, I don't think I'd like seeing a Sombra either if I'm a Doomfist.
Yeah, it's not great. Especially in the fact that I think right now, if you're the Dynasty, you overly focus on Leave because Leave's the one making the opportunities for the Hunters right now. You kind of go to Taro Cookie and go, all right, prove you can land your shots.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think Taro Cookie's still, I don't want to say ignorable, but Leave is certainly the bigger threat at the moment. Yveltal down early. Fitz finds a pick in the back line, and that is exactly what you don't want to have happen because Monk, the Zenyatta, is going to be very vulnerable as well. And this is really kind of the strength of this Seoul Dynasty defense, is that you make picks like that. If Fitz can continue to put the pressure on the backlines with Sombra, Hunters are going to have a very difficult time actually putting together a strong push on the point at all. And this just eats up a lot of time, which is what Seoul wants.
Yeah. When Yveltal's out of the fight, that's the Monk saying, I'm in danger, Doa, is what's going on there. And even when
he's in
still in the fight, still in danger between Fitz and Prophet. Resurrection, though, comes into play. Hunters, though, struggling to get the entry. Leave soon have Pulse Bomb, though, moving in. D.Va, the target. Oh, take it down. Bit off more than you can chew.
Wow. Tanks down.
And that's going to delay things even more, Doa.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. And Fitz, again, has just been discouraged in the back line. He's claimed kills on both Monk and Yveltal independently right now. They do hit him as he comes out of security, so he's going to have to be a little bit careful. But he's got the EMP as well. Okay, leave over on the Echo. So time for a different angle. Trying to go airborne here a little bit.
Yeah, the problem is they have to go through an EMP, and they only have 2 minutes left. So one fight is almost certainly going to be a loss. And the problem is they have to use the EMP now. You get the free pick and leave. Okay, they use it anyways.